Hey everybody, you guys are probably wondering what this is doing on my arm. So I got kind of a crazy story to tell you. It's been quite a few weeks for us here. So we were involved in the fires that came in down here between Fort Collins and then the other one at Lyons. And I was getting ready to roll down the road and talk to the state trooper because our road was shut off. And I was going to ask him what was going on with the fires. I figured he'd have some pretty good intel on this. So as I was getting ready to leave the house to go down, I was looking down at the gate. And I happened to look down at my driveway and I saw something slithering across the driveway. Well, we live in the foothills and from time to time we'll get some snakes out there. So I grabbed the pair of binoculars sitting next to me and looked down at the snake to see what kind it was. Some are good, some are not good. And the head was triangle in shape. It was not oval. So that's usually a bad sign, not a good sign. Did notice a diamond pattern on the skin. So that's not a good sign either. So I let it come a little bit closer to the house, and then I saw the rattle, and I knew right away that I needed to do something. So we got kids that come over there. We got horses. They bring their dogs. You just don't want a rattlesnake on the property. Well, went downstairs to find something to get rid of the snake. So I grabbed my 12 gauge. A few weeks prior to this, we were up in my cabins in the mountains, and we were doing some target practice, shooting some clay pigeons. So I grabbed my 12 gauge, but I couldn't find any ammo for it because we used it all to shoot clay pigeons, have some fun with it. So I finally found 2 shells in my duffel bag that carries my ammo box. So luckily I did have the 2 shells. So I loaded up, went outside. I knew the snake would be gone at this point, but I thought, well, I'll cruise around and try to find this guy. So I did find it, and it was kind of slithering down by the garage. Well, as I went to take care of the snake, went to shoot the snake, it decided to retreat and actually sit next to my gas meter. Well, I didn't think that was a really good idea. You know, what could possibly go wrong with shooting a snake with a 12 gauge next to your gas meter? So, and then it must have seen me, so it just kind of hung out there by the gas meter and wouldn't leave. So I thought, well, I need to get it away from the gas meter. So I start throwing some rocks at it. And it finally moved, and it decided to slither next to the window by the garage. So our windows are at ground level, but on the outside of the house. So again, probably not a good idea to shoot at the window of the garage. So then I kept throwing rocks at it and trying to get it to move away. So then it decided to slither into a bush and tie itself up in the branches. Craziest thing I've ever seen. Dealt with a lot of snakes out there. Never had one actually hide in a bush. So now I can't take it out with the gun because it's next to the window and it's in the bush next to the window. So even if I wanted to get at it with a shovel, it's protected by the branches. So probably the smartest snake I think I've ever seen in my life. So I continued to throw rocks at it and finally got it out of the bush. And then it starts to make its way back up to the patio. So as I get up to the patio, as it gets up to the patio, I run to the top to get a good vantage point to see what's going on. And I pump the gun and shot. Now, I shoot clay pigeons. I like to pheasant hunt. So I'm not a bad shot with a 12 gauge. I missed the snake with a 12 gauge. Hard to believe, I know. So make fun of me, send in all the comments that you want. But I did have 1 shell left. So I figured, well, what are the odds of somebody missing a snake 4 foot away with two shots? So I pumped it, shot again. Guess what? I missed the snake twice with a 12 gauge. So then I decided, well, I got to figure out a way to get rid of the snake. I don't want it on my property. So I was doing some sprinkler repair. So luckily I had a spade shovel close. So I grabbed the shovel and then grabbed the shovel and proceeded to try to get the snake with the shovel. So as I was hitting the snake, it was sitting really close to a brick wall. So I just kept swinging and swinging and swinging and finally got it away from the wall. Once it got away from the wall, it let out a rattle like you've never heard before. And I've heard it before, but it kind of spooked me. So when I heard that rattle and then it kind of scrunched up and struck at me a little bit. When it struck at me, caught me off guard, I jumped backwards. As I jumped backwards, I put my arm out and I fall. As I fell, I landed right on my wrist. I didn't jump that far, so I wasn't really that concerned about it until my wrist swelled up like a football. And then I knew I was in trouble. So at that point, I'm laying on my back in front of a rattlesnake that is not really happy with me. So I get up and look at my wrist, and again, it just looked like a football. It swelled so fast. I've never seen anything like that. So then I pick up the shovel. Now I'm trying to beat this snake to death with 1 arm. And I finally win the battle, but at the cost of my wrist. So this is my replacement cast. I now have a plate and 6 screws in my hand, and I had to have surgery because I was so determined to get that rattlesnake off my property. So I think I won the battle, but at the expense of my wrist. So anyway, look forward to the comments. If you like the story, just hit like on the video there, and I'll get better here in a couple weeks. Talk to you guys soon.